Southern California, yeah.
Born and raised our DNA, laugh and cry to what we say. We hit you with that wordplay.
4053.
What episode are we on? D, they feeling like they be zombies, all dressed in Abercrombie.
SoCal DNA coming in live, 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night. COVID got you sitting inside, why not sip one and free your mind?
Cheap thrills, popping pills, stack cash, spend it fast.
Listen to all of Don's lies as Arjun act like he's surprised.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Today, it's a special day. It's a very, very special day. The D and the A are proud to be introducing our dear friend, none other than the B himself, Birad. Birad, man, why don't you go ahead and say hello?
Hello, everybody. How you doing?
Yeah. So, Birad, at least for, I would say for both Arjun and I, has a special place in our hearts. He's I don't know, Birad, would you say you were my partner in crime back in college?
I would say so. Yeah, for a year for sure. For the year we lived together, definitely.
Yeah. We had some good times. B is my year in college, so 1 year senior to Arjun. We all met well, not all of us, at least I met both of them through UCI housing, and it's been great experiences with both of them respectively. B, why don't you give us Birad, give us a little bit of a little soft intro, like tell us a little bit of who you are, what you do, and how you know us.
Okay, I'll start with how I met you guys. So I first met Don when we were freshmen. We had dorms right next to each other.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. I think it was cool. Like me and Don, we fit well together, I think.
Yep.
Like I had my roommate, Don had his. I got along with my roommate, but not as well as Don. We had other people in the hall we got along with well too.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just fit. And then Arjun, actually, I met him separately. It's actually an interesting story because I met Arjun in chem class. And I think, it was Ben. Yeah, he was my lab partner randomly, and he happened to know Arjun. And then we kind of became friends through him. And then randomly one day, I realized that I don't remember. I don't even remember how, but I know Don and Arjun, you guys were in the same hall then. Don's second year, Arjun's first year. And I remember somehow you guys knew each other, and I just thought it was like the craziest coincidence ever. But it was cool.
I gotta say, one of my earliest memories of you, Birad, was for this midterm review. I don't know if you remember this, but it was for some chemistry midterm review where
Yeah, I remember that.
we were in the back of the auditorium, and
Yeah.
I think you and I were just cracking jokes left and right, and really being assholes. To be perfectly clear, we were both being assholes. And I think the TA, you knew the TA or something, and so the TA would look back at you and look back at me with these glares, right? Like these very stern glares. Hey, you guys cut it out back there. But at that moment, I knew, wow, this guy Birad, he's very cool. He's very funny, very easy to talk to. And I think from that point forward, with Ben and remember Rachel. Rachel was part of the group as well.
There's Rachel. There's Michael and Scott.
I forget them completely. Michael and Scott are two people that, in my mind, I have no idea what they look like. But I believe. Oh, actually, you know what? Michael was the quiet Asian kid, right?
Yeah,
He's a little bit quiet. Yeah.
Right.
Scott. Which one was Scott?
So Scott. They were. I think they knew each other from before. I don't remember. I don't know how to describe them, but I think it's hilarious that I said Michael Scott and it's like The Office. But I just realized.
Yeah.
But I don't remember. But yeah, I remember we had our group. I think me, you, Ben, and Rachel hung out a lot more compared with Michael and Scott. They kind of did their own thing. We kind of just saw them during labs. But the four of us, we hung out quite a bit.
We did, and it was good times for the most part. I know we were studying, but I think we always found time to just converse about anything in life, and just kind of enjoy each other's company. It's always great when you find people that you can easily connect with, just like you did with Don. And it's amazing, like you said, that, you know, all of us are friends, but we started becoming friends in completely different ways. You and Don, you know, pretty much close to being dorm mates. You live next to each other. Me and you through class, and then eventually we met up. And somehow, some way, we've all kept in touch with each other over these years. I mean, it's damn near been a decade, B-Rad. Can you believe that? It's been a long time.
I know, it's crazy. It's been a long time.
So tell us now, B-Rad, what have you been up to over this decade since we last saw each other? What have you been up to?
I think I don't remember for sure, but I think we ended up graduating the same year because I graduated in 2012, right? But I think I graduated after you did because I graduated after summer.
Oh yeah. I graduated the June of 2012.
Yeah.
So I think.
Well, I think I walked with you, but then I had to finish because I did 2 degrees, so I still had like 2. I had a couple classes left, so I technically finished in summer.
Got you. Yeah, you were always kicking our asses. I remember you were kind of like the epitome of the hardworking, very smart, very dedicated person in school. At least for me. I know Don's perspective of you is very different, and he'll get into that soon. But from my perspective, I always remember you just putting in the time studying. Like all the time, you were like dead ass tired. You know, you had bags underneath your eyes from like putting in late nights at the library or Gateway Study Center, wherever you were. So to me, at least, you were always like the symbol of diligence. But Don, why don't you go ahead and break down what B-Rad meant to you? Break down the other side of B-Rad.
Oh no, you guys don't know. See, I'm usually the mischievous one between the D and the A, right? I'm the one that gets the blunt end of the stick every now and then. And the same reigns true for me and B-Rad. B-Rad
That's true.
and I would do very mischievous things. I would say
We did.
on the weekly, at the very least. Pretty much on the daily, honestly.
Yeah.
But who would be the one that gets in trouble? Me.
Don. Oh yeah.
The B-Rad
know.
was a, he held a really strong facade in front of other people, and it made him look holy. Similar to how you had described him, as the beacon of hope, the one you look up to. But quite frankly, it just dug my hole that much deeper. I'm pretty sure. Okay, I'll take credit for like maybe 60-70% of the mischief. I should have gotten in trouble for it. But there was a good 30 to 40. I'm sure you'd agree, B-Rad. You should have taken the blame for it.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. 60-40. That's pretty accurate.
Yeah, man. I still remember that. Like what was it? If you had a favorite memory from freshman year, man, not to get all touchy-feely, but from our mischievous ways, I think at least for me, one of the best moments was I don't know if you remember, but Cantaloupe Bowling. Do you remember?
I was about to say the same thing. I still remember at the entrance of the hall we did it once, and I forgot who walked in, but they were just like, what are you guys doing?"
Yeah, it was.
And then that was one of those moments where I was like, it was Don's idea, and nobody even questioned it. Nobody at all.
Yeah, to give a bit of context, what had happened was, it was great because we actually got Nate involved a little bit, but he jetted right away. We were on our way to Pippin. I forget what the food hall was. But we went.
Yeah, it was Pippin.
And then we got Nate involved, and we're like, "Hey, Nate, steal us that watermelon." But the watermelon was well oiled, so we ended up just grabbing it, and it's slipping, and him like having arms full of oil. So we're like, "All right, on to the next one."
I think it was around like it was like one of those holiday things where like they decorate a bunch and like so they had like a fruit section, and like there was like a watermelon. I think there was like bananas. It was like a bunch of fake fruit, but we all thought it was real. And I remember, I think it was me and you for sure. I don't remember who else was there, but we were just like, "Hey, Nate, take it." And Nate was like super pumped too. He was like, "No, I'm gonna take this. I got this." And then he goes and he puts his hands on the watermelon. He looks around like all the workers. Everybody's like they're all looking in different directions. He's like, "I got this. Like I'm gonna take it." And it was like to make it look shiny and like perfect. Like they waxed it like crazy. So he puts his hands. He goes to pick it up and his hands just like slip through it, like and they're up in the air. And he just freaks out and just like walks away, man, because he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, no. And then I think what had happened after that, we're like, "All right, well, plan B, not really thought of, but we had to come up with a quick plan B, and I believe a cantaloupe was available. Yeah. And little did we know it was a real cantaloupe until we got it. So we proceeded to leave and take it back to the dorm. And for some odd reason, we didn't go up to our third floor where we lived. We ended up saying, "Hey, let's make this happen right now. Let's make it happen right now." And I don't think it was just us. I think we had gathered a good group of people because they were interested in the shenanigans we were up to. And kid you not, we somehow set up some pins of some sort right on the first floor, right on the entrance, right outside the door. So we, kind of hidden, respectably hidden in the common area, and proceeded to play some bowling. I don't remember who won. I know I lost at the end, but I don't know who won the game. But I think it was the RA that came in on us, and at this point I think everybody was hyped, and I believe it was me or you. This is a part of the memory of mine that gets suppressed. But on that last bowl, right when the RA decides to watch and try to stop it, somebody bowls, and the cantaloupe proceeds to roll and split in half, spilling all of its contents all over the floor. Yeah. And we look at each other, and that's where, at the beginning of the story, Birad said, "It was all done. It was all done." And I think I proceeded to clean that up in shame as everybody dispersed back to their room.
But no, because I think what happened was I bowled before you and I cracked it, and so it was already a little cracked. And then basically we knew the RA was coming, and so Don was like, "I got to get my bowl in," and so he was like, "You know what? I'm gonna go for it." And I think he just got excited, and I think it was he just threw it a little bit too hard, and so it went off the wall and just split in half, and that's when it happened.
Oh man, that was good times, yeah. And I didn't get in trouble. I mean, we had to clean up. But, I didn't get written up. I don't think we ever got written up, to be honest.
I don't think so either.
For all the crap that we did. Or, we were lucky that we had a RA that was, similar in track to us in regards to getting into the medical profession. So she was too busy to worry about these two idiots basically doing her job for her. So, entertaining everybody. But, yeah, no, that was definitely one of many, 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 many memories I have my freshman year, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. So Arjun, tell me some crazy stories that you and Don did while you guys lived together.
That's a good question. Hard to think of even one, quite frankly. Quite frankly, so my memories of Don from my freshman year mostly revolve around him in the first quarter. I think the first quarter he was there most often. After, I think he got bogged down with like 30 units or so, and he was really, really busy, just juggling multiple things in life. But in the first quarter, I just remember him being just present, and that was really the best part. Like, he was there for the dinners, he was there for some lunches, he was there for, whenever we wanted to just play 2K. Common pastime of ours. We'd go over to one of our a fellow dorm mate's rooms. They had the system. I think it was an Xbox or a PlayStation 3, I forget. And we'd play some 2K, and I'd kick his ass, and he'd complain that his heart's not into it. He wasn't trying.
You're not gonna let that
he's
go.
Not feeling it today. Typical Don.
I remember those excuses. I remember those.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah. I think you and I both know Don has a lot of patented lines, a lot of go-tos he likes to go to. But I just remember him just being a good friend for that first quarter, and he would be driving us around, me and some other people in the dorm, just overall really solid guy. But after that first quarter, we started to see him less. He was very much missing from the dorm from time to time, or sometimes his door might be locked. He was in there, but we had no idea he was inside. It's just you had no idea. He would just leave temporarily to use the restroom and then come back, and you'd be lucky if you caught him. It's kind of like a Blue Moon type of situation. But I guess no real crazy stories like bowling with fruit, nothing like that. But Don, perhaps you can maybe remind us if you have any crazy stories from your second year.
Oh no, I think it was you weren't a part of that group, but I tried following through with my first year shenanigans into the second year, because at the time in Mesa Court, the RA that Arjun and I had was a little bit of a stickler compared to our first years. But I remember going outside, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were walking by, and I was out there smoking hookah with all of them, with all the first years. And we proceeded to get chewed out by the RAs, so I had to play my, kind of community programmer RA, hey, I'm part of you guys, please don't write these guys up, sort of card on these guys. And I think after that, I felt the repercussions of not being the kind of role model that they had wanted me to be for the people or for the kids at the time, right? 1 year apart, you seem like you're a sophomore, you see a freshman, that's a kid to you. But I let these kids get away with a lot of things. Arjun was a good kid. I didn't have to, cover him for anything, but there were a bunch of the other kids that would get themselves into trouble, and I would have to, help them out where I could, as long as it wasn't getting them, hurt. So I think that's one of the big years I kind of grew up and took more of a mentorship role.
You got to be the responsible one then. Huh?
Yeah, for once, right? It was tough. It was tough. That, and then, as Arjun stated earlier, that's when I was having like 30 unit quarters and stuff like that, just to try to catch up to, the competition out there. Because, Birad, you graduated with biochem? What'd you graduate with?
So I did bio and business economics.
That's right. Bio was notorious for not graduating all of their students. Basically, if you failed that curve, you were basically kicked out and shot into public health or some other. Yeah.
And I think, Don, you did bio and chemistry, right?
Yeah, but then towards my fourth year, I didn't complete chem because I actually, I don't know if you remember it, but I actually left UCI a little bit early to start a master's program. So I moved up to the Bay Area, I think in December, and I just flew down for finals.
Right.
Because I had like 8 units or something left to finish the degree. But yeah, man. Yeah, in second year, that I grew up a lot, man. I that's when I started figuring out girl problems. I know Birad knew I had not girl issues, but there was definitely a soft spot in my heart for that gender, and I got into deeper shit second year than first year that I shouldn't have been a part of. But we all learn.
Yeah, that's how it works, right? Live and learn.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. Sometimes you got to suffer the consequences of your mistakes. Sometimes. Yeah. So. But yeah, man. What I wanted to really talk about, something I thought of when you had agreed to this, was you and I had similar beginnings at UCI, and after post UCI, we also had similar beginnings, in that we both went to medical school.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be interesting to get another person's take on, their idea of what a doctor should be, and how, you ended up where you are today, given your medical school experience.
So for me, and I assume everybody's experience is different, but like for me, I don't think it was like a lot of people that I saw in medical school, because I went to the Caribbean, right? So it was a lot of people who probably shouldn't have been in medical school in the first place, because they weren't smart enough to study that way, and it's just they couldn't do it. So I saw a lot of people fail out my first quarter. So I was there for 4 quarters basically, and then I did a couple rotations, and then I just didn't like it. So the reason I did it was honestly because I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. And then I had a lot of family doctors in my family. Like I had how many, like 5 or 6, like just like brothers, sisters, and cousins. Out of like 15, like 6 or 7 of them were doctors, and they were just like, hey, like you're smart enough, we think you could do it, you don't really know what you want to do, so take a stab at it, kind of thing. So I was kind of just like, all right, like my life at this point, I don't know what I'm doing. Back then I had just gotten married too. So I was like, hey, like obviously I got to support my family somehow. So I was like, obviously doctors make good money and it's a good job, like highly respectful and all that. So then I went for it, and I got through it. I got the good grades, like I was doing everything fine. I knew what I was doing. But then I got to rotations, and I didn't really like the learning part, but I talked to a lot of people and they were kind of like, hey, school is school. Like until you actually do it, you don't know.
Sure.
So I did 2 rotations, and it was about 8 weeks, and like I was just miserable the whole time.
Sure.
Because like most of the time, and I like, because I went to the Caribbean, I was probably going to be like a general doctor,
Sure.
which meant, like you see like normally sick patients, and then most of the time it was the same patients every couple weeks. They would just come back with the same problem,
Sure.
and they would do nothing to solve it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, hey, like, me saying, hey, do this, then they would say okay, and then come back, and it was just like repeat like that over and over again. And it just like it wore on me a lot, and I didn't realize like how unhappy I was. And then one day I was just like, enough is enough. Like, I don't like my life at all, and if I keep doing this, like I'm gonna hate my life forever. So then I was like, all right, I'm done. And so like, obviously I talked to my family and stuff first, and I mean, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. So I just kind of went with the next thing, and like it just happened to be real estate, but I enjoy it. So I do property management now. And I mean, what I didn't like about medical school is like, or even being a doctor in general, is you're kind of on your own as a doctor, and then you see patients.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like in here, like, I have coworkers, like, we have an understanding of what each other, of who each other is and what we do. So I don't have to like explain everything. I don't have to like talk down to them, which is something I hated doing with patients. Like I just felt like I was talking down to somebody, like I was like some greater power or something like that. And I was like, I don't like that. I like talking to somebody on the same level as me.
Yeah,
so I think
you keep it real,
yeah.
like all the time, and I think Art and I would agree. Like just your personality is that kind of guy. Like you're not going to put yourself on a pedestal, even though maybe qualifications wise you damn well are there. You're down to earth kind of guy, and you never go beyond, or you'll go beyond your means whenever you need to, especially if you want to, if you actually care for the people. And I think I agree with you where, the patients that you see, especially in, your general clinics or your family med, tend to be the monotonous kind where it's the same thing day in, day out. It's just a different face, maybe some different characteristics that would lead you to a different conclusion that is just an offshoot of one you already proceeded to know and give. And yeah, it's good that you mentioned that you noticed that you were unhappy, and I think that's key, man, because I think a lot of our colleagues that are doctors now, especially during this time of COVID, they're not happy. They understand that people aren't doing what they're telling them to do, and look at where we stand today as a society. It's tough, man. It's tough.
Yeah, and then I mean, I noticed like even when I was in school, like you could tell a lot of people were there just because the doctor, like the persona, I guess, like the money, like the respect, those kinds of things. They didn't want to do it. It's just the lifestyle that they liked.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I talked to a lot of doctors today, because obviously they're still in my family, like the lifestyle isn't as glamorous as it used to be.
Sure.
Like you're still making good money, but like people, like with the internet and everything, like people don't respect you as much anymore. Because they're like, hey, I Googled it and you're wrong. And then
they'll come in like with these prescription drug names, not even the scientific name, just the freaking market name. Saying, I want this because I feel sad. Like, all right, cool. Let's go ahead and exacerbate that depression of yours then with this.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, they did it all for the respect and the money, I think, and it's being exacerbated even now, because I feel like the passion in medicine is dwindling very very fast, and it's unfortunate because I think for people like you and I who genuinely care about people and want to develop meaningful relationships and have thoughtful conversations instead of one directing the other, it sucks because I feel those should be the kinds of doctors that are employed across our hospitals, employed across here in the U.S. And unfortunately, it's the guaranteed 6-figure job, sometimes $1 million depending on your specialty, and the Hippocratic oath that we all took seems to be meaningless after
I agree.
And once you get that degree, not even that, once you start rotations, it's thrown out the window.
It's like the difference between school and rotations is crazy, because like in school they're like, be empathetic, get to know your patients, spend that extra time with them. and then you get to rotations and they're just like, no, go go go, like you don't have time to learn about your patient.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares if they're happy or not? Like you have a job to treat them and you do it, otherwise you don't belong here. Whereas in school they were like, take that extra 10 seconds because it sometimes it can be the difference maker, and it doesn't translate over.
Oh, for sure. And yeah, as someone that worked in healthcare on the finance
Yeah.
side, especially now with the incentive structure that we're giving to certain physicians,
Mhm.
that extra 10 seconds is actually counted the other way now. If you could cut your
Right.
time down to a certain number to meet the certain criteria of, a checkbox, then you get your, $100,000 bonus at the end of the year if you keep it up.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's the point, man? Now they're just,
Yeah.
I always see them now as just encyclopedias that just churn
Mhm.
paperwork whenever they have to, just to shoot them over to the pharmacist or a surgeon. And it's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But yeah, hey, but why real estate? That's something that like interested me, because I mean, I get working with people and all of that, but
Yeah.
how'd you get in to real estate?
So it was a little bit weird, but like my uncle, he bought a building because he is a physician. He had money, and like his accountant told him, like, if you don't do something with it, basically you're gonna lose X amount of dollars. I don't even know how much it was. So he invested in a building, and at that same time I left medical school. And so he was just kind of like, hey, I bought this building. I don't really know how to run it. I have a company running it for me now, but like I'm basically losing money just because it's not profitable. And he was still expected to do things even though another company was running it.
Sure.
So he was like, hey, like help me out. And then we worked out some numbers for money and everything, and I just kind of got into it. And I mean, I ran it alone for most of the time, this for like the last couple of years. And then but like obviously he wanted to be updated, so we kind of ran it together, but I was like the main guy. And
Sure.
then we got rid of that other company, and then I basically just did everything. And I mean, I liked it, I enjoyed it, because like even when you work with like tenants, right, like it's
Sure.
not like I'm talking down to them. Like they run their businesses, they need
Yeah.
something, they ask me. Something happens with them, I go over there and tell them like, hey, you got to do this and this, and it's
Sure.
like a mutual respect relationship. So I liked it. And you meet different people, you get to talk to different people. Different businesses have different focuses, you get to see all that every day. So it was good, I liked it. But then like it was small, it was like 7 offices. And I was like, hey, like I don't have career growth after this point. So then after that I went to the Irvine company, but that job wasn't that great. It was more like customer service,
Sure.
which, and Irvine company in general, like obviously people in Irvine are very rich, so you kind of have to speak with them in that way, like where like they're like customer is king kind of mentality.
Hmm.
So that kind of sucked. So I got out of there quick, and I now I work for Cushman Wakefield. It's pretty good. Like it's a business park. They got like 180 offices. I mean, it's big and it's time consuming,
Hmm.
but it's good. It's a step up from where I was before.
Sure, man. No, for sure.
Yeah.
What do you do for this private company?
So, I mean, it's technically owned by somebody else, but we do like the rent collecting, repairs of anything that's broken, parking lot stuff, whatever. Basically, anything that has to be maintained or fixed, we're responsible for that.
Ah, so it's like a property management.
Yeah, property management.
There we go. Nice. Okay. And I guess someone that invests, like, well, not as much anymore, but I know the A invests. What do you recommend if there's people out there that are trying to acquire property? Do you recommend using property managers? Do you recommend buying shit lots or turning your house into a duplex? Like, what's your take right now in regards to
Yeah.
uh, garnering land?
Yeah, I mean, for the thing in California is what kind of sucks is land is just so expensive. Like to
Hmm.
make a profit, you have to own like so many properties. Like even my uncle who bought that property, like he makes barely any money off of it. It's more of a way to like it's more of a tax write off than anything else.
Sure.
So if you're gonna do that full time, like you need multiple properties, or you need a small property that's something you can do alone. So it's kind of like a fine line, because doing it alone is hard, because you need to have, I would say, probably like 15 to 20 spaces, manage all that stuff yourself. It gets difficult. And then if you want to actually make real money, you have to have huge spaces, like 50, 60 spaces, which obviously then you're not doing alone, you're doing with a group, which cuts into your profits. So like you either need a huge money base to buy a bunch of land and have somebody run it for you,
Sure.
or or basically you spread yourself thin just trying to make ends meet by owning property and running it yourself. So I think like real estate owning in general, I don't think I'd ever do it. I don't think I ever want to own my own property. Managing it is good because I don't have to worry about it, right? Like if something happens to the property, I'm like, hey, I did what I could. I'm not damaging it, but at the end of the day, I'm not worried. Like, hey, if there's a fire here, what's gonna happen?
Got it. And you're talking commercial property. What about like a living property or personal property?
Living property, I think like you can make money in anything, right? Otherwise, nobody would do it.
Sure.
So like there's always ways to make money. The only thing for residential is the reason why I would choose residential over commercial though is because people, even if you're renting somebody's house, it's like the house you live in, right? So it's
Sure.
like your comfort space. So you're going to take care of it. You're not just going to treat it like crap. I mean, maybe in the beginning you're like, I don't own this house, I don't care about anything. But at the end of the day, it's something you're looking at every day. So if you trash the floor, then every time you walk by, you're seeing like a big dent in it. So you care about it more, which was one of the reasons why at the Irvine company they're very sensitive to the tenants. One, they pay a lot of money, but two, it's your home. Even if you spend more time at work than at home, your house is like your safe space.
Got it. And I take it that you're not working from home, right? Like you're still going in, given that you probably have to visit the properties or at least manage some subcontractors that you send out there.
Yeah, so I'm half and half. I go in about 2 to 3 times a week, based on the week. So we're staggering our office right now. There's 7 or 8 of us in there, and basically we go two at a time. We keep our social distance. I'm in one office, the other person's in the other. And I mean, with all the stuff today, right? Like with everything that's developed, we got meetings, we talk on the phone, we figure it out. We try to be there as little as possible, but obviously, like mail comes in, and like you're saying, subcontractors come in. We have to do move outs, move in. So I interact with people still, but as little as possible.
Got it. And do you think, I guess, like moving forward, this work from home new aspect across all businesses is going to become the new norm? Maybe staggered like you, or just non-existent, given that, like you mentioned, sometimes rent may be a little high, especially for big buildings and big properties.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What do you think is going to happen with the whole WFH system that we have going?
So yeah, I mean, I think I think it just depends on the industry, right? Like I think a lot of people are going to see it as just like superfluous, like hey, we're just spending extra money for no reason. Why do you have to get on a plane and go to New York when you could just do a 30-minute phone call, save all that money, save all that time and do it? But I mean, in general, there's always going to be something where like, hey, if I had gone there, we would have made the sale. So eventually, I think when hopefully, fingers crossed, when COVID or life goes back to whatever the new normal is going to be,
Yeah, whatever that is.
right? Like whatever that is. Because I mean, actually, it's interesting because I had a friend when I was working at a Irvine company, and he was like, I'm pretty sure COVID's going to be like a flu shot. Like, and I mean, I think he's kind of right. Like in Africa, they had the new strain that's more deadly. He's like, every year you're probably gonna have to get like a new vaccination. It's probably going to be like the flu shot, where like every year they pick a few strains and they're like, hey, this is probably the flu that's going to hit you the hardest this year. Let's get the vaccine out there.
Sure.
And I mean, I didn't think about that. I mean, obviously, like we learned about it, right? Like even in medical school, mutations and all that stuff. So I was like, hey, I mean, it could mutate, it could happen, but I just don't think it's going to happen that way. But I mean, so far, based on what I'm seeing,
You've been wrong.
I was
my
like,
friend.
you're more of a doctor than I am.
No, that's super interesting, man, that you brought that up, because now that I think about it, I mean, because COVID was seen as basically a stronger or different form of influenza, which is the common flu that we get every year. It seems to spike, during our winter seasons, depending on where you live. And I mean, we're seeing that spike right now with COVID, and with all the mutations, as you had mentioned. Maybe that's, or you or your buddy was correct in that this may be ever present, depending on how quick it mutates, because that sucker mutated real fast. Like, like usually with the flu, you get like different origins, right? Whether it came from birds or whatever, or other animals. Whereas for this one just straight up mutated on its own. Was saying like, fuck it, I can do this myself. That's crazy. I never thought of that. It'd be dope to have our leading viro PhD on board to talk about it. It was cool, man. We had Tony on the other day, and he schooled us
Okay,
both.
nice.
He schooled us both on regards to all that. Like I was all trying to play my 2 years of education, and he just comes in and says everything correctly on like the gibberish I tend to say, man. So I was a complete...
You know, that happens to me too. Like they'll having like medical conversations. I'll be like, I know this, I got this. And then I'm like, this disease, it does this, and they all look at me like, yeah, in a textbook it says that. Go to real life and figure it out. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, man. No, because like people will still come up to me, man, especially because I'm out of healthcare now, and they'll be like, oh, you went to medical school? Like, yeah, I said that so I could get this job. That doesn't mean I know anything. And they're like, oh, so you should know this answer. I'll give an answer, and by golly, they'll look it up or they'll ask someone else, and it turns out to be the opposite. I'm like, it was right in the textbooks, that shit was dated when I learned it. All right, so my bad. Use Google,
Yeah, I know.
So, man,
It's
damn.
funny.
Hey, but I wanted to also ask, dude, how, like, the D and the A, we all have our likes, man. Like, I like my bourbon. We both watch a lot of basketball, as you do, or not as much anymore. Baseball this year. How do you think your Cubs are going to be doing, man, against my Dodgers?
They're gonna suck, man. We're selling.
You're
We're
selling
sellers this year.
You think
Yeah,
so?
they got rid of. So we had Darvish, who was I mean I think he's our best pitcher, but he's kind of up and down.
He was
I
our
just think he
garbage,
was
man.
injured. Yeah, but Yu Darvish, right? So they traded him to the Padres.
What'd they get?
So
A pick? Or no, they got a bunch of prospects, no?
yeah, they got a bunch of prospects, but there's nobody like like sometimes there's those prospects where you're just like that kid's gonna be gold. Like they didn't get anybody like that. And for Darvish, who's considered a number one pitcher, I would want and I think he has like 2 years of control left too, which is a good amount in baseball if you're going to be a contender. So I mean, I was disappointed in the trade, but they've been trying to cut payroll for like 3 years. I think we're like the second or third biggest market, so we can go into the luxury tax no problem, but we kind of stagnated like as a team. Like we won that World Series, right? Like 108 years. Like I think I agree. I mean, I agree, but I'm biased because I'm a fan. Like the greatest victory in all of sports, right?
Yeah, sure.
Like, but I mean, like looking at it, like even in a different perspective, I mean, it's true, right? Like, who else has a 108-year curse that was broken? Like, so many heartbreaks. In
there's just other
108 years.
teams that don't have to suffer 108 years, man.
That's why it's the greatest victory in all of sports, man.
Well, what got you into, I guess, being a Chicago fan? Because the DNA know that Birad is very loyal to all things Chicago, including pizza.
That's true. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
As long as it has the right ingredients for Birad, though. It has to have the right ingredients.
Exactly.
But I mean, you're a Bulls fan, you're a Cubs fan. That's always been the case for as long as I've known you. I don't even know if you're a Bears fan. I'm sure you would be, but
I am a Bears fan.
Yeah, well, there we go. Everything Chicago. Why Chicago?
So I was born there, and then all my older cousins, they were all born there.
Got it.
So I mean, we moved from, like, my family moved from Chicago when I was like 1.5. So obviously I don't remember it.
Sure.
But like growing up, like my older cousins, they were like between 7 and 15 years older than me. So they were all huge Chicago fans. So we always hung out with them, and whenever they were into sports, just like I am now. And so they would watch Cubs games, they would watch Bulls, and I mean technically like we lived really close to White Sox Stadium on the south side of Chicago, but they were Cubs fans. So I was growing up with them. I just it just kind of happened that way, and I was born there. I honestly, I don't think like thinking about it now, like in this day and age, I don't think I could live in Chicago. Like, like after living in California, I think I'm spoiled. I don't think I'd like living anywhere else.
Yeah, you're not used to the LA streets, man. I mean, the Chicago streets aren't that bad compared to the LA streets, right?
Well, it's not bad, but I mean, living in Southern California, like I don't think I'd even want to live in Northern California. Like Southern California, I grew up here. Like the weather's perfect. You could literally in an hour, you could go to the beach, you could go to the mountains, you could go to the desert, you could go anywhere you want to go within like an hour to 2 hour drive. I mean, the traffic sucks, it's expensive, but like living situation wise, like I don't think there's a better place.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. We're blessed in that, and it shows in our damn property values. But it's like, we don't get the snow, we don't get the rain. If we're lucky, we get 10 days a year of rain. And that's not even like heavy rain. We're talking like droplets or, nothing to other individuals who live in other states.
But, but see, a lot of people who hate rain would love that, right? Like you have you don't have to worry. Like, like even when I went to medical school, right, I lived in Dominica, right? It's
Sure.
Caribbean. Like it would just randomly start raining, like out of nowhere.
Yeah, you
Like
would
you
get
would
like
literally
hurricanes,
just, like,
wouldn't you? And like that's when the power would
yeah.
go out typically.
So actually, like my second year, or sorry, my second quarter, in between my second and third quarter, there was a huge hurricane. Like they didn't have power for 4 days. It was just lucky. Like right when our semester ended, everybody went home
Sure.
for a week. We
Yeah.
got a week or 2 weeks off in between. I think it was a week though. And literally, like the day after we left, there was a huge the airport flooded.
Damn.
Like the school flooded. Like there were a few people who stayed back because, like, like so there's always some people, right? Like they
Sure.
don't really have any family or anything.
Yeah, they don't have
They
family.
had no reason to go home.
Yeah.
Things like that. But yeah, so they told me about it. They were like, yeah, like literally we were just stuck in our apartments. It was crazy windy. Like you don't know the structure around there, right? Like we have building codes and stuff here, but like over there, it's just kind of like who's gonna check on it?
Yeah.
So
They built
he was
it
like,
and left it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No codes, no anything. Yeah.
Right.
Damn.
So I mean, like he was like we were freaked out, but like luckily the school was built well. Like they had generators, they had power, they had everything. So everybody kind of just like ran to the school and just like stayed there. But like still, I was like, damn, like But like weather there, like see, like there's just I don't know, like I don't see a better like people who aren't used to it aren't gonna want to live here. But like I think growing up here, it's hard to live somewhere else.
No, for sure, for sure. But I think, like, dude, I don't know if this is the same for you, but the older we get, the less time we have, right? So how do we enjoy or take advantage of all that stuff around us?
Oh, I agree. I don't think I've been to the beach in like 2 years.
Yeah, man, because it's like it's tough because we're working all the time, and
Yeah.
with our responsibilities of being family, man, it's a little more difficult because we got our other half doing something
Yeah.
else, and usually our free time we're gonna have to spend elsewhere. I don't know if you heard that squeaky toy, but now I got a little baby puppy that I gotta take care of, so that takes up some time too. I mean, I can only imagine what it's gonna be like if we have a kid or when we have a kid, whatever life brings.
Yeah.
But it's just all about, I guess, the small things in life. I'm sure you'd agree. The small things that make us happy, and as much as we love the weather and want to get to the beach and do all those things and watch basketball and support the Chicago teams or LA teams, what else do you do to find joy nowadays in your life, B-Red?
For me, I don't know. I spend a lot of time with my family nowadays, Like we just we hang out, like so we have like more like religious events, like small get-togethers.
Oh, I think that's something
When
you could touch on. We don't want to dive into like a political religious talk, but what religion are you devout to, and can you give us a little bit of context, because your story is definitely atypical from me and A.
Sure. Yeah. So I mean, I grew up like we were always religious since the beginning. So I mean, like the overall, I'm Hindu. Like our specific sect of Hinduism is Swaminarayan. So I mean, in that, I think like looking from the outside looking in, like we're pretty restrictive, I guess people would say. Like for me, I think I grew up in it, so I don't find it that way. But like we don't eat meat, we don't eat fish, we don't eat eggs, and I think the atypical things is we don't eat onion or garlic.
Mm-hmm.
So and I'm pretty strict in that. So even like there's a lot of people, like even in my religion, like even if I see them at the temple, like when they go out they'll eat onion and, like they never eat meat, but they'll eat onion and garlic just because it's so prevalent, right? Like
Sure.
It's really hard to find food that doesn't have onion and garlic in it, especially when you go out.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of people. I mean, and obviously, I think in all religions you have people who believe more, or like who believe very strictly, like follow the small laws, and then you have people who kind of just do the overall thing, and they don't really follow the small stuff, but they still believe. So but for me, right, like I don't follow that. So I think a lot of people, like they find it hard. Like even I just started this new job like a couple months ago now.
Sure.
So I mean, like, they were like, hey, we'll take you out to lunch. It's your first day. Like, what do you want to eat? And I was just like, well, like,
Let me tell you something real quick.
yeah, basically that's what it was. And it was cool because my boss, he actually lived in Indonesia for like 6 months.
Sure.
So he kind of, he had like, and he's white. He's from here. He was born in Minnesota. Like
Sure.
he moved out here like 7 years ago or something.
Yeah.
So I was surprised he actually knew like a lot about other cultures. But he was like, yeah, I lived in Indonesia for like 6 months because his aunt was like, I forgot exactly what she did there, but she did like like the helping out kind of thing of like the impoverished societies.
Ah, got it.
So she ended up moving there because she liked it so much. So he was like, I went out there and I lived with her for 6 months just to get an idea. So he knew more about the cultures. I mean, they're not exactly the same, but it's not American culture. It's more of an Eastern culture. So he had a pretty good idea. So it was pretty cool because he was pretty understanding. He was like, I've never heard of the onion garlic thing, but but actually,
I haven't heard anything specific about onion garlic. I've heard of like root vegetables or some things with roots. For
So that's Jane's. Those are Jane's. Yeah, so they do that. But actually, Don, I don't know. I don't know if you remember, but Didi, she was Buddhist. She actually whatever she practiced, they did. Yeah, they did. But they didn't eat onion and garlic either. I think she did, but she was like, technically, they're not supposed to.
Oh, but she was super devout, from what I remember.
Yeah, so then maybe she didn't either. So I think she didn't either. So me and her had that in common, but I don't remember exactly.
Certain rules you could break here and there in life, right? Especially with our diets nowadays, because we run out of time. So sometimes, it's like I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat whatever's in front of me, sort of thing. What other rules in life do you tend to break? Do you speed?
I speed all the time, dude. Oh, dude, I drive super fast. Like my minimum speed is like 80.
On the side streets too.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So I think as I've gotten older, it's gotten worse. Like I used to be like strict, like only go 5 above the speed limit, sure. and then like a few years ago it was 8. I'm at like 11 to 12 now. So I'm hoping that number doesn't keep going up. I haven't gotten a ticket yet, like fingers crossed. But
ever in your life?
We'll see.
You've never gotten a ticket in your life?
So I've gotten 1 speeding ticket, but I was going 81 on the freeway, and everybody else around me was going 80. But
so you're that one car that stood out, the one dark guy in there.
Right? Yeah. I was like, come on, man! Like I'm going 1 mile over, like what everybody else does. Are you kidding me? Sure. That's the only speeding ticket I've ever gotten.
Oh man, I've gotten so many tickets. It's bad. It's bad. Hey, Arjun, have you gotten any tickets? Any speeding tickets, or just any general driving tickets?
Got one like a while ago, I think, back in undergrad.
Just one? Speeding? Or what was it? Parking?
No, it was speeding on the freeway.
Damn.
Okay.
So we all got caught.
I don't count parking tickets as real tickets, man. Like
you got plenty of those, don't you? A wallet full?
No, I got none. I don't have any. But I'm just saying I wouldn't count it if I did have them.
Oh man. Well, I mean, aside from families or anything else, like, what's your guilty pleasure right now on TV? Because from what I remember, you love TV. You love TV a hell of a lot.
I do still watch a lot of TV, but right now I don't know what I'm watching. Like, I basically just open up Netflix. I try to watch a few TV shows, but I haven't found anything that really interests me.
Nothing? Oh, you probably went through all the good stuff already, huh?
I guess so.
Damn. Well,
but my favorite show of all time is still Chuck.
Chuck. I don't think I've watched.
I don't know if you've seen it.
Well, what's it about?
Huh? So I mean, it's like a sci-fi comedy kind of thing, but basically he gets like a CIA computer or something like that stuck in his head, and basically like his brain computates like certain things he sees. So like he realizes like certain attacks and things that are going to happen before they do. And then like he has 2 handlers that are actually like CIA and NSA or something. And then basically they like solve crime basically. But I thought it was hilarious. I love that show.
So it's comedy and action and sci-fi all in one.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn. That's good. You ever think about writing your own script, creating your own story?
No, man. I don't think I'm creative enough for that.
Oh, come on now. You're super creative.
No, I don't think I am. I'm just being honest, man.
Hey, man. No, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But it's been so long since we talked to you, man. Is there anything you want to ask of us?
I don't know, man. What have you guys been up to? Like me and like maybe not the last few years, but I used to hang out with Arjun like quite a bit. Like, and when I say quite a bit, I kind of mean for me, because I was kind of like Kim always, like where I had like my periods where like I hung out with everybody, and then there was like these like other times where I was just kind of like doing my own thing.
Sure.
Me and Arjun, we used to get together every now and then. So I always enjoyed that time with him because he was like throughout the years, he's one of the few people I actually still kept in touch with, even though he like to be honest, like I always give him credit because he's always the one who reaches out to me first.
Sure.
So I always appreciated that. But he was one of the people that I've kept in touch with in the last few years. So I kind of know about him, but Don, I don't think me and you talked very much after we left school.
Oh, we haven't. We haven't. And you know what was beautiful, man? I don't know if you remember, what was it, like 2-3 months ago? Even at the height
Yeah,
of COVID.
Costco.
Yeah, we saw each other at Costco, and no words needed to be said. We just kind of saw each other, did that little second take, and you're like,
Yeah.
all right, I went in for the hug. You reciprocated. That was one of my cherished memories of 2020.
Yeah, and you know, and it was funny because after that happened, I was like, dude, I gotta tell Arjun this. Like, he's bummed, man.
Yeah, it's a rare sight to get you sometimes, man. But I think Arjun and I are happy that you're doing what you're doing now. You seem to be very happy across your whole life in all aspects, and you haven't changed, and I mean that in all the good ways. You've gotten
Okay, that's good to hear.
Well, I mean, we haven't talked. We've only been talking for like an hour, so I'm sure there's some dirt I could dig up, but I won't do that right now. And I'm sure you'd protect it, or I'd somehow get the blame still. So
Yeah, I would somehow I'd get Arjun on my side and make sure he held it against you.
Well, I have to agree with a lot of what Don said. I think you go through life a lot of times, and you're kind of told what path to be on. And going back to something that you were talking about, Birad, and Don as well, both of you guys started off as bio majors, and you kind of had a vision of where you'd end up, like maybe 10 years from the day you started undergrad. But it doesn't always work that way. And, one of my good friends, he lives in Dallas, he had the same path. He started off as a bio major. He was going to go to the Caribbeans, for the medical school. But ultimately, he kind of realized somewhere along the line that he was miserable. This wasn't the life that he chose. This was a life that was kind of given to him, kind of forced upon him by his parents and other people who were doctors in his life. And every time he was in one of those classes at UCLA, every time he was applying for something or taking an exam, the MCAT, whatever it was, he was thinking, I can't see myself doing this forever. I just don't like this. And so he chose to take a very drastic measure. He chose to follow along the footsteps of his elder brother, who was an IT specialist. He was working at Texas at the time, doing some really good work over there at an IT consulting company. And so he, my friend, he made a huge career decision. He pretty much decided, you know what, I'm no longer going to pursue medicine. I know that's going to disappoint my family, my friends, everybody who's been thinking of me as an eventual doctor. They'll be disappointed, but you know what? I need to try something different for me. And he was taking a risk. He did not know if it would work out. But he, got some books, he got some advice, some counsel from his brother and some other friends. And after a few interviews, he got his first job in IT. And since then, he's moved up to bigger and better companies, never looked back. And from time to time, when I reconnect with him, he always tells me, that was a game changer. That was a life changer for me. I'm so happy that I pivoted paths, through this journey that we call life. Because he knows that a lot of people, they pivot too late. They pivot when they're almost out the gate, when they, pretty much done all the schooling, and maybe they're already a doctor and they realize this is not the life they want. Other people, maybe they give up too early, right? That's another thing too. I think you need to kind of go through a little bit of the struggle. You need to really feel some of the pain in order to understand whether or not this is the path for you. Because until you experience some of the lows and the highs, you really don't know. You really have to keep pushing until you get to that point. So I'm glad for my friend in Texas. I'm glad for you, Birad, and for you, Don, that you guys all found something that you truly are passionate about, found something that you truly enjoy. And I can just attest by listening to this conversation, you guys are genuinely happy. You guys genuinely like what you do now. You have good lifestyles. You have a positive outlook on life. And what more can you want, really, right? If you're enjoying something that you do every day, if you're enjoying the people you're with, the company that you keep, what more is there? So I'm ecstatic, Birad, to hear about all the good things going on in your life and to hear about this update. But my one request of you, Birad, is don't be a stranger. And you can attest to this, man. Like you told us that, I reach out from time to time. It's only because I care. Don and I both care about you immensely. We consider you as one of the best people we found at UCI, and I think Don can agree with me about that too. But now that you're here, now that you're around, because I think you're working a little bit closer to us now than before.
Yeah.
You should totally link up with us more often, man. Whether it's a podcast call to keep the social distancing, or if it's, to grab dinner sometime, or to have some kind of a reunion of sorts. We bring in Tony Dawson whenever he can fly back over here, or wherever he's at. I don't even know where he's at. But please, man, don't be a stranger. Keep in touch in the new year. Let that be your new resolution.
Definitely, man. And Arjun, I think I've told you this before, and I've never talked to Don about this, but dude, you're one of like the most, I don't even know the word for it, like uplifting people I've ever met, man.
Definitely.
Like you're just good people. Like, like there's always people you meet in life where they're kind of whatever. And then you meet like people that you're not gonna like. I don't know, man. From the first time I met you, like I knew like you're just a good guy. Like there's this, I don't know how else to say it, man. Like you're one of the best people I've ever met. I think.
Yeah, cut from the rare breed, or rare cloth.
Yeah.
Definitely, I would say one of a kind almost. From the amount of people that we've met, genuine is a very big word, and very thoughtful.
I think that's a very accurate description. Genuine.
Yeah.
I think I can only be judged by the company I keep. I'm only as good as the friends I talk to every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. And so, Birad, I hope that you are down to join us for future podcasts, because we'd love to have you on. But before we let you go, because we typically keep this at around an hour, before we let you go, I want to ask you a couple of questions. Number one, have you listened to our podcast before? And it's okay to be honest. You can say no. You can say
I'm
no.
gonna be honest, I have not. So I actually, like, when Don invited me to this, I was like thinking, I was like, maybe I should listen to a few before. But then I was like, I don't want to respond the way other people did. I was like, let's keep it fresh.
Yeah, keep it live.
Like, I haven't listened to it yet. Huh?
Do it live the way we
normally do it live, man. So I was like, I'll listen to them afterwards, and I'll compare myself to how others. I mean, I'm not comparing myself, but just see how others spoke, what other people said. But I was like, let me go in. I'll go in, new, like whatever, and let's just see what happens.
Well, I mean, I guess then to build off that question, was this an enjoyable time that you had spent with us?
I definitely. If you guys would welcome me back, I would definitely do it.
Wow. That is wonderful. I think that was my goal. Don had made an interesting comment in the last episode that we did where he mentioned that basically I talk too much. And I thought to myself, what? Let's try to make an adjustment. Since I'm trying to be a supportive co-host, let me make an adjustment. So I fell back today. If you noticed, I was very much I was listening. I was being an observer. I was being more of a very attentive observer and only chiming in when absolutely necessary. And I found that, this is really where the hidden talent comes out, right? When you finally take a step back and you let other people succeed, when you let other people have a chance to shine. I found that Don is an amazing host. And I think, Birad, you can agree. The way he was navigating the conversation, the way he was segueing from one topic to the next, carrying you along, holding your hand, sometimes letting you blossom as well. Don is one of a kind. Don is very exceptional. And I think he has a very bright future in podcasting ahead of him.
I agree. It was very well done.
I don't know. It's the bourbon speaking. That's what it is, man. So one of the things I can do that you probably, or that you don't do, is I dabble. I dabble a lot in the nice liquid gold that I get.
Don, is your favorite alcohol still? I think it was 151.
Oh no! Those see this. All right, so that it shows the kind of guy I was when I was young. Yeah, there were times in our freshman dorm where Birad knew I would do it, and to be nice to you, Birad, I know you had my back in those times where I was stupider than I should have been, stupider than I already was. And you had my back, so I thank you for that from the bottom of my heart. Tony, on the other hand, had basically taken that reign where when B-Rad wouldn't drink, Tony was there to carry that load. And unfortunately, most of the stories where Tony and I would be drinking, they didn't end up too well for him. But no, 151, which is a 151 proof It was a rum, but it basically tasted like death. It was drank just to indulge in what I thought life was at the point. And unfortunately, I think, as you had mentioned earlier, just spending time with those that you love, keeping relationships strong, no matter how distant they may be, and just living your life and realizing what makes you happy, and living your own expectations of what you pave in life to the fullest, rather than those placed on you. I think all three of us have nicely realized that at a young age, where others haven't, and I think that's a nice takeaway.
Maybe you guys have talked about it before, but I mean, I always think it's funny how, like, as you go through life, like, your priorities, how much they change, and then, like, how something so important, like, at one point is just, it doesn't make any sense later. It's just, I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, I could give two fucks about so many things that I did in college. And those are the ones that I could remember, quite frankly. The other ones, they've just been long forgotten. But still, some of my best days in college, right? But that's because of the people that I still keep in touch with, or at least, try to keep in touch with. Those were definitely meaningful.
Yeah.
But Birad, it's been a fantastic hour with you, and I'm happy that you had agreed to come on future episodes with us. We can't wait to dabble in more topics with you, more current issues with you. I thought it would be wise to, get a really general sense as to why, me and Arjun think so highly of you. And I agree, or I think that all our listeners would agree, all dozen of them, that you are a good man and very knowledgeable and just as genuine as Arjun, if not more. And I'm sure everybody can't wait to see you back. Is there any parting words that you'd like to say? Any catchphrase that you have that you'd like to close out?
I don't have catchphrase, but I'll just say this. You guys are good. You're good people, and you got 12 listeners. I'm sure they're loyal, and I'm sure you're gonna get a lot more just because you guys deserve it.
Well, with you on here, I'm sure we'll get at least one or two. That's including yourself. So I'm happy about that. So with that, this is SoCal DNA signing off.